Prior to forming Delta Vega in the early 2010s, I lived through the CDO bubble of the great financial crisis of 2008-2009. I wanted to share my thoughts on that in this video. A later video will describe the after effects when I worked on the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy. That was my first entry into financial engineering consulting. But here, I mainly focused on the period up to end of 2007. I was introduced to credit default swaps during the merger of Chase Manhattan Bank and JP Morgan from 2001 to 2002. I came in from the Chase side, supporting corporate bond traders. These corporates were high grade, but still fluctuated in credit spread with systematic and idiosyncratic events. Prior to the merger, we estimated credit spreads by backing out from asset swap spreads. These convert the usual fixed rate bond into a synthetic floater. Then Chase merged with JP Morgan, and all of a sudden we had a better measure, credit default swap spreads. But the market was much smaller than the corporate market at that time. Now, of course, it's huge. Back then, maybe half a dozen names traded weekly and marked only at 5-year maturities. Unfortunately, the merger also created job cuts, and I was laid off in 2002. After a 2-year job at Goldman Sachs Asset Management from 2003 to 2004, I returned to credit products while working in a new job at Numerics in 2005. This is a fintech, a software derivatives company that was well positioned in the face of new demand for credit products to respond. We first offered credit default swap calculators, then tools for pricing credit indexes, and then tranches of indexes. By 2007, we began to support bespoke products, putting in the latest financial engineering aspects such as base correlation and stochastic volatility. We had a head credit quant named Dan. At one point in 2007, I marveled to him about the growth of structured credit markets and asked him whether he was also excited about it. Interestingly, he said, no. What he was seeing was larger and larger volumes, for example, of bespoke CDOs, but not much in the way of innovation. He felt that the credit markets were mature and not really growing the way they had in the prior 1 to 2 years. By the time 2008 came around and Bear Stearns, Merrill, Lehman started having severe problems, I had moved on to another buy-side role at State Street Bank. So I was to an extent cushioned by the great financial crisis. But of course, everyone in finance in New York knew that the CDO bubble had burst. State Street had its offices downtown across the street from the New York Fed. So I can tell you then when Richard Fuld of Lehman met and the regulators said they could not save his bank, it was just across from my building on a small street called Maiden Lane.